Hello and welcome back to Mr. Caro Plays FM23. Now today we're going to talk about like a transfer strategy that I have used to kind of build my teams to have success within developing a squad. And this is not to keep a player too long, to know that if you've got a player, he may be good for you for a season, maybe 2 seasons, but you don't want to kind of get too attached to the player. You don't want to keep players longer than you should. The idea of when a player gets angry and wants to leave your team because they're not playing enough games, for me, that's kind of a sign that player is ready to move on. Not always, but sometimes you can have situations where players will want to go because they think that they can go to a better club. But if it's the case of players not playing enough games, then you probably should cash in on those players as soon as possible. Now, I've got a couple of examples we're going to look at in terms of transfers. I'm going to show you one player I recently sold, and then we're going to look at the idea of why I upgraded that player to a different player. So if we look at the player who I sold, it was Sergio Consigao, we'll call him. Very good player for a couple of years. You can see that he played 62 games for me. But if you look at his stats, he came to a point. Now, if we look at his report, I don't know if it's going to show the same as it did for me. He showed us as a 3-star player. Now, obviously, when you look at that, it's not bad. 3 stars. We all know that stars rating in Football Manager is what it is. It is an idea of what that, a quality of a player. But I've had players with 2 stars who perform better than players with higher ratings than them. So we know that the star rating isn't essential. However, it is worth pointing out that if you're upgrading your team and you're doing it over a period of time, it's a good gauge of where you want to be. So with that said, I upgraded him with this guy called Alpha Zhongku. And, I paid a little bit of money for him, it has to be said, and he's on a high wage from the league that I'm in, which is in Bulgaria. But he can play all along the back of the defensive midfield and right midfielder. So he seemed like an upgrade to me. Now, it has to be said that actually my scouts rate him higher initially than what he actually came at in the star rating. Hence why I say sometimes the star rating isn't necessarily 100% what we go by. However, this player here was seen, for me at least, as an upgrade. Now, I got him on a decent price. I think I only paid for just under 500,000 for him, and obviously he's already kind of his lowest is under what I paid for him, but there's a good potential of being able to get kind of more money for that player. Now, like I say, this is an idea. It's a notion that you can develop players over a period of time. Now, if we look at my transfer history and we look this season, I have actually ended up signing quite a lot of players, but it wasn't necessarily the case. And you look at how many players left. Now, if we were to go back a couple of seasons, you can see that actually the list of players coming in is more. And if we go back again to another season, again, it is quite significant. That season, not so much. But generally, what I tend to do, and you can see I didn't spend any money in that season either. So kind of the notion for building the squad for me is when you start to see the career, if you like, or the campaign, depending on how you want to term it, you might have players who are good at that point. You want to upgrade them with slightly better players. But in the end, as you're starting to get through the leagues, this probably isn't a thing if you're a top team to start off with, but certainly if you're a team that's up and coming or you're picking it as a challenge save and thus each season you're progressing slightly more, you'll probably find that you sign less and less players. You don't need those players. Like I'm at the top end of the Bulgarian league. I don't need to sign 20 players, but I'm already at the top end of the division. So at that point, I only want to add 1 or 2 quality players. And that's the other kind of thing I want to put across in this video is that, don't make wholesale changes each season. You don't necessarily need to do that. The idea being, once we have a team with quality players, we're just trying to improve it, tweak it, add that little element to build us up to get to win the title instead of coming second, that kind of thing. And that's what I wanted to point across. And you can see this season I have tried to do that. I have signed a few players with quality, players that can add stuff to my team. But yeah, this was a kind of another notion. I signed this player. He's not going to sign, break any records, if you like, but is an improvement on a striker. And the player that's going out on the other side of that is Bojan Gus. So not someone greatly improved. If you look at the 2 stats together, we're not getting a massive improvement there, but it's an improvement. And that's what we're trying to do. When you get to a point, it's just improving your team slightly to get kind of higher ratings, to find that thing that stops you from being second and actually winning the league. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Hit a notification for more videos. Thank you and goodbye.